Why is it important to authentically include people with disabilities within the stories and messages that are put out in the marketplace?
It's extremely important to include authentic portrayals of people with disability in storylines because that's what happens in real life. I mean, disability is not a costume that a non-disabled actor can put on. We have extremely important stories to tell. We can be part of stories to tell. I mean, it more than people realize. Uh, so, in order to do that, remember, we represent 20% of the population. People with disabilities represent 20% of the population. They don't realize that, and yet it's not reflected in how we're portrayed on screen. I can't just sit here and say, okay, what can we do? Because we know what we need to do. We need to get creative. We need to get our message out there. We need to make telephone calls or get ourselves out there on social media. Work with people like Easterseals to spread this message. It takes a village. I know that sounds cliche, but it takes a village to get people together, to collaborate, to discuss, to see what works. If something doesn't work, fine. Then let's move on beyond that. Let's find alternative paths. I know, again, I have so many experiences that I could put into a script, that I can put into a story and film it. And I know that they would be so successful and so wonderful because I know that there are lots of wonderful deaf and disabled actors who can do 2,000 better than those actors who think that they can get away with playing characters who are deaf or disabled. Again, it doesn't have to be about being disabled. I'm trying not to, I don't want to diminish a person with disability and the stories that they tell, but I think stories don't have to dwell on being deaf or being disabled. Just put them into the story just like you would be in real life. I mean, there have been executive producers who created roles for me that had nothing to do with me being deaf. They just put me in. I mean, Aaron Sorkin, or when I was in the L Word, or when on Quantico, for example, playing an FBI agent. I mean, you need to think outside the box when it comes to people with disabilities, but at the same time, it has to reflect reality.